Postmodern literature is a form of literature that emerged during the 1950s. It was mainly a reaction against modernism, World War II, and post-war events such as globalization and the rise of mass media and consumer culture. Postmodern literature rejects traditional narrative forms and experiments with new literary techniques, genres, styles, etc. It is marked by a decentralized structure, lacking clear leaders and a cohesive direction, and embraces chaos and disorder, portraying a world that is disconnected and dehumanizing. It uses elements such as intertextuality, pastiche, fragmentation, metafiction, and magical realism. While its major themes include feelings of alienation, anxiety, and the meaninglessness of human existence. It is important to note that postmodernism in literature is not an organized movement with leaders or central figures. Therefore, it is then difficult to say if it has ended or when it will end. Prominent postmodern literary authors include Kurt Vonnegut, Thomas Pynchon, Samuel Beckett, William Burroughs, and Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Modernism emerged during the early to mid-20th century, especially after World War I, during the industrialization and social upheavals. It aimed to make sense of a changing world. Postmodernism, on the other hand, emerged from the mid to late 20th century onwards, especially after World War II and post-war events such as the Cold War, globalization, and the rise of mass media and consumer culture. It is a reaction to the failures of modernism. Modernism believes in the possibility of universal truths, order, and objective reality, even if fragmented. Postmodernism is skeptical of universal truths and grand narratives. Truth, for postmodernism, is subjective, relative, and constructed. Modernism is often experimental, but it generally seeks to establish a coherent, though complex, meaning. Postmodernism is frequently nonlinear, fragmented, ambiguous, and often resists definitive meaning or resolution. Modernism is serious, often melancholic, searching for meaning and order out of chaos. Postmodernism is playful, ironic, cynical, often embraces chaos and meaninglessness. Lastly, in modernism, the artist or writer is seen as a genius trying to create new forms and meanings. While in postmodernism, there is the death of the author. It questions authorial authority and originality. It believes that all texts are interlinked. Intertextuality. Intertextuality is based on the idea that every text is the result of pre-existing texts, whose meanings it reworks and transforms. It is the referencing of other texts, such as myths, novels, songs, etc., within a new text. This can range from direct quotation and explicit allusion to subtle echoes or structural parallels. For example, Umberto Eco's The Name of the Rose takes on the form of a detective novel and makes references to authors such as Aristotle, Arthur Conan Doyle, and Borges. Intertextuality emphasizes that texts do not exist in isolation, but are part of a vast web of cultural discourse. It enriches the meaning for readers who recognize the references, questions notions of originality, and creates layers of irony or critique. Pastiche. Related to intertextuality, pastiche means to combine or paste together multiple elements. It is the imitation of the style, manner, or content of other works, artists, or periods. Unlike parody, which often has a satirical intent, it can be a neutral homage or a celebration of the imitated style. Pastiche can be seen as a representation of the chaos and pluralism of postmodern society. It highlights the idea that all art is built upon prior art, blurring the lines of originality. It can create a sense of cultural collage, remixing familiar elements to create something new, often in a playful way, and frequently bridging high and low culture. An example of pastiche is Margaret Atwood's use of science fiction and fairy tales in her The Handmaid's Tale. Fragmentation. Fragmentation refers to the breaking apart of narratives, characters, timelines, and even the text itself into disjointed pieces. There is no relation between narration and time. Plots might be nonlinear, jump through time, or present events from multiple, sometimes contradictory viewpoints, while characters' identities might be unstable or fractured. Fragmentation reflects the postmodern belief that reality is not a unified whole, but a collection of disparate, often chaotic elements. It challenges the reader to actively piece together meaning and embrace ambiguity. An example of extreme fragmentation is William Burroughs' Naked Lunch, which fragments plot and characters using cut-up techniques, where Burroughs literally cuts up pieces of text and rearranges them. Its surreal, non-linear vignettes disorient readers, forcing them to construct meaning from chaos. Please help us continue to make free and reliable videos like this one by donating or buying a printable version of the video's text or its PowerPoint presentation. Links are in the description below. Thank you, and see you in our next videos.